Negroes on our land. We had nothing to do with that. They made the agreement. We just got trapped in the blood right that stuck us in here fighting this war from the bottom.
I want to know what. Okay, here's somebody right here that says, Little Turtle, Chief Little Turtle.
I'm not familiar with that particular chief.
I think I heard a little.
Unless you're talking about Chief Little Horn when I was talking about Emmy, that might be what he talked about. But I'm not familiar with Chief Little Turtle.
I think I heard of Chief Little Turtle. Hey, what tribe is that? I think I came across that Chief Little Turtle before. I think it was it an Apache tribe? But I noticed, man, every tribe was fighting for to stop getting their land taken. And it's like this. This is my question for you, Rod. And then we'll take this next question. What was the overall after they took our land? How did one a certain amount of small amount of people get the wealth? Because it seemed like to me our natural wealth over here was shared amongst the tribes. Like everybody had, it was all of ours. It wasn't no, this one dude owned all the cows. This one dude owned down there 2,020 million acres. How like now it's only 1% of a group that own all the shit when we owned it as a tribe. And
they had to shut our banks down first.
Okay.
When they shut our banks down, we were still sitting on gold and coal in large stockpiles. Because I was in the north, the coal was a valuable commodity, and gold has always been valuable all over the world. It was for international trade, right? And silver, right? So the stockpiles we had made some of the families be wealthy when some of the elders liquidated the asset. Most of that was done in the 1900s with the repeal of the gold under FDR with the Federal Reserve Act. When they took over the banking system, and they declared it illegal to own gold, so a lot of people sold their gold to the banks. In order to get into the fiat system. So they was coming in with a financial backing, whereas a lot of us had to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps with no boots on.
Damn.
Right. So what did we start doing? We started creating penny stores. This is where your dollar store concept come from. The penny store, we go in there, was really, we used to call it the candy store a lot. But you go in there with a penny and you have to come out with a little small brown paper bag full of candy for a penny. Yep. Right. Now, you can't buy shit for a penny. I ain't seen nothing that you can buy for a penny in a long time.
I'm telling you.
Right? But you used to have what's called penny stores, and as inflation went up, then you had your 5 and dime, which is your nickel and dime store. Right? You went from your nickel and dime store to your quarter stores, then you went to your 50-cent stores, and now we at dollar stores. Yeah. The dollar is less than a penny back then. The penny back then was worth more than the dollar is today.
Damn, sure is.
Let that sink in. That's inflation. Right? That's how they skim the money off the top right in front of you, because they call the chairman of the Fed to come from overseas to America to tell you how much the interest rate is. A lot of them people making that shit up, sweetie. A lot of them making that shit up. But what they doing is they saying my great-grandmother or great-great-grandmother was half Indian, that make me 24%. That's how they come up with it. They don't really know.
Yeah,
Because
James
us,
Brown.
we didn't go by percentages. We said you were one of us or you ain't one of us.
Right?
We didn't have stepbrothers. You either my brother or you not my brother.
Right?
We didn't have stepsisters. She was my sister or she wasn't my sister. That's all. And
Yeah.
cousins, our cousin was my brother from my mother's sister. My sister from my father's brother. Them were siblings. For us, we all were crawling around in Big Mama house, snotting at the same time.
That's fire.
Saggy diapers together. We were siblings to us in our hearts. So we weren't divided like that. The hardest part was to bust the family up. Once they bust the family up, that's when they went to really work on us, and that was in the 60s.
Right.
A lot of those records was burned up, but if you run into a dead end in the 1800s, and wherever you run into a dead end, you look for a city hall fire, a library fire, or a courthouse fire, and that's how they was destroying the records that told everybody who we was and showed them where our properties and stuff was. But they had duplicates that went as far as DC. But the local record, so you can't prove it, was burned up. But the Library of Congress still got copies of everything they burned up. They know who we are.
They know exactly who we are. Somebody said, "Man, once to Big Mama, it's downhill for the family. The energy can't be replaced." That Big Mama.
It's a hard act to follow, but normally Big Mama be the head 2 or 3 of her daughters or granddaughters up under her so long that they know how to take the reins and continue that legacy. This is part of breaking up the family. See, a lot of us, they want you to run off, marry somebody, and move to Europe so that you can be Big Mama when your turn comes. That's all part of the game.
Yeah, Abraham causing up some stuff over there.
We love Burkina Faso and Ibrahim Traore, and that's all we got to say about that. Keep doing what he's doing. Tear their ass up. Get everybody else involved. Get all the tribes involved from all of the military gridded off countries that they divided up in the Berlin Conference. Keep doing what he's doing. We with that.
Yeah,
they only doing what they doing because we doing what we doing. We just using 2 different methods of fighting based on the condition of the colonizer.
And he really a product of what the natural process of what was already happening over there. They took out Thomas. They took out Thomas, and then it's like that energy just when you take out 1, 2, 3 more people rise up that's stronger than that. It's just universal energy, universal law. So he just anomaly after a certain amount of time, and them from the South African apartheid all the way up to now, and that South African apartheid is like they form of them being colonized by the colonizers. And if you go look at pictures of those people, those guys were dark skinned. They actually were blacker than mud. Them people, they had them out there digging, but them Dutch was dark skinned people, man. Can't believe it.
Well, you gotta remember, New York was first colonized by the Dutch. That's why it was called New Amsterdam. Right now,
they were some dark skinned niggas.
Yeah, so it was just a matter of time before one of us seen the selling out wasn't getting them nowhere, and because it wasn't getting them nowhere, shit, we might as well go and fight these motherfuckers. Because them letting them have control of our resources and paying me to sit in my presidential palace and watch my people suffer, you had to, sooner or later, one of us was going to say, I wonder what the problem is and how to fix it.
Right.
It's just so happened that how his mama raised him and what he's seen going through his ranks in the military allowed him to understand that if we did sell out, we can be more powerful than all the sellouts combined.
Right. Right.
So he don't want to negotiate because he don't want your money. Because he believes Burkina Faso can take care of Burkina Faso with the resources that Burkina Faso produce.
Right. Right. I like most of everybody. It's like they get mad when we don't want them to bully us and colonize us. Oh, he getting
of course. You ever punched the bully in the nose?
No, I ain't never been bullied though.
Man, look, well, they will try you. I done punched plenty of them in the nose, and I'm gonna tell you this: they all gangster until you punch them in their snot box.
Right.
When you punch that snot box back, 9 out of 10 of them bullies gonna curl up and cry. They not real fighting dogs. They not game dogs. They show dogs that just look game.
Yeah.
Until somebody chin check them.
Yeah.
That's right. So, right. So when you stand up to a bully, of course he's not gonna like it, because you challenging his facade, the false image of toughness and strength that he put up to make other people intimidate, bow down, and serve his interests. As soon as you come along and smack him in his snot box one time, now all of a sudden everybody looking at you, waiting on you to oppress them, and you refuse to do it. Now they love you and hate the bully.
Right.
They don't got to kiss ass to stand up. And then, you know, that's just the way it is. Bully don't want nobody taking his power from him.
I seen that scenario in The Godfather Part 2, I think it was, is when it was this guy that was like bullying the little Italian neighborhood, and then the Godfather took him out, and then he became the guy. But he wasn't as bully like the other guy, right? Bullying the people around. He was more of a
tyrant.
Somebody, the bully guy was a tyrant, but the Godfather was more like, if you got a problem with a bully, come talk to me. That's how Tookie was. Tookie didn't even like gang banging at first. He used to go beat up gang bangers for people. They used to come get Tookie to go beat up people. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, these gang bangers took my jacket, Tookie and Rob took my money. Tookie, they go get Tookie. Tookie say, where he at? Tookie go over there and beat him up. Just he liked it doing it, you know. And then eventually when he hooked up with Raymond, you know, he started, they brought the Crips more to the forefront, but Tookie was more of the guy that beat up the bullies in the neighborhood.
That's who Jeff and King David. That's what they was in Chicago. They stopping the ones who had little takes of power from bullying the kids. That's how they all got their positions. All of them was bully beaters. Jeff, Mickey Caldwell, Big Bull, all of them, King David. That's what made Hoover so important, because he stopped a lot of bullying from people because they got what looked like a position of power. Especially when he switched us over to growth and development, and we, the ones of us that took that wholeheartedly and began to hit the books, we understand what's going on now. Brain banging to the name change.
People saying my sound low. My sound low, what?
Not to me.
Oh, okay. Maybe to somebody else. Hey, y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We got Rod Cash App and his PayPal for the people that's in the London that don't be having Cash App. We got that PayPal out there too. Shout out my people in London, man. Shout out everybody for coming in and kicking it with us tonight. Like I say, show Chief some love for Christmas, man. I'll send him a Merry Christmas, man, on that donation, man. So on some a Happy New Year, and you know. Hey, you got anything else you want to say, Chief? We at that 2-hour mark.
Not really, not particularly. You know, we was just whatever you brought up. Yeah, whatever you brought up, that's what we was talking about.
Yeah, we really was just chopping it up on Native American wars. It's kind of like it was another meeting similar to the last Big Mama meeting we had before Thanksgiving. So this is the before Christmas one, right? And so we just came already. The key says, what does it means when a person pupils become almost non-existent? Right? You know anything about that?
What?
Their pupils become non-existent, meaning I guess they got an all white
stuff like that. That's a tester
Mm.
to see what the reaction gonna be, right? And they judge by the flow of the algorithm what the reaction gonna be,
Okay.
right? The when I did a young elder the other day, we was talking about the green aura that was around the earth for that returning love energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the earth was vibrating at the heart chakra. When we got done with that class, the next day it was violet, crown chakra,
Yep.
right? So we hit the nail on the head because when you go from the heart chakra straight to the crown chakra, that's what you call the heart link to the heavens.
Fact.
So then we got the sun got a big old butterfly symbol in it, looked like a reverse Batman symbol.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right? Butterfly is the symbol for transformation. So they telling us that there's a transformation in progress based off the recent solar activity.
Mm.
Remember, we was getting blasted by solar storms last week, and the shooting resin been off the chain. And this is why we seeing these color shifts in the Aureole Borealis. If I can pronounce it correctly, I always butcher it. But the lights, the northern lights, was being seen in southern states in the United States, which is rare.
Mm-hmm.
Which means it's a large mass coronal interference in the Van Allen belt, right? And it's the gamma rays that turn it green, right? And then it's the ultra, I think it's called ultra gamma rays that goes into your purples and reds, right? But we talking now, we not root chakra, we heart chakra, crown chakra. So we got a lot of stuff going on, and now we got to unpack what is it telling us. Because the whole thing is about, we see these stellar events, solar events, we see the Schumann resonance events, we see this political stuff playing out. And, you know, they always call a new field of study the rabbit hole.
Yep.
And our first introduction to the rabbit hole in most people's childhood is Alice in Wonderland.
That's a fact. Matter of fact, I'm going to put something up for you.
So Alice sat on the mushroom, psilocybin.
That's a fact.
Right? When she seen the white rabbit, she took her down into the rabbit hole, which was her adventures of Alice in Wonderland. Wonderland is another way of saying your subconscious realm.
That's a fact.
Because the psilocybin opens up the subconscious realm so that you can consciously process it. That's why they call it hallucinations.
And then, you know, not only that, you know, the rabbit in itself is also a representation. When you get into the esoterics, the rabbit hole can be associated with Ophiuchus. So that's when you get into, you know, the number 67. They talk about the number 67 is pretty much the most intrinsic definition in all throughout the year of 2025, because it's the resurrection of the 13. So when you go down the rabbit hole, you're actually connected to yourself to the womb of creation, which is also associated with Ophiuchus, like I said, because I think Ophiuchus is in between November 29th into December 17th. So there's a resurrection and a rebirth energy here on the planet, and they telling you within the political infrastructure, because you ever seen that video when Donald Trump, he kept on talking about he's building the ark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the ark in itself is also a representation of the global turning point that's connected to Charlie Kirk, which is the fall of the church. So the royal ark in itself is a representation of a resurrection process, because it coincides with the 47 problem of Euclid. So the 47 in the ark coincides with Noah, right? So Noah, when you break down the word from the etymological standpoint in ancient Hebrew, it means the mind. Noah means mind, and then you got the arcs or the angels of light, the angles of light coming down to the planet. that hits the mind. So it's actually talking about a form of mind science technology when you get into the 47. And matter of fact, I'm gonna pull this up for you because I remember we was on the phone the other day and I was telling you about the movie Sneakers. This movie came out, I think it was in 1984, that also coincides with the timeline with Donald Trump, with Donnie Darko talking about the bunny, because in the movie, not the movie, but the book, Baron Trump's Adventure, he was stuck in the fixed position reality in 1984 when this movie came out. And then you see it got XRP when I was doing my independent research. And then it's at the security code, you see the 47 right here. That also coincides with the Royal Ark of Freemasonry, that also coincides with the global turning point. And then you also got to watch the damn movie. There's a reason why they put this movie back on Netflix, Ready Player One, because the inception of the destruction that took place when you're talking about the Great Purification, it started in the year of 2027. That's when the world ended in the movie. But it was certain dates they had from November. I think it was from November 17th to the 29th. It was something that took place within the movie that also coincides with the timeline that we're in right now. So that's why I keep telling people the movies is also acclimated to the timeline, because it's actually telling an esoteric story. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of stuff to look at when it comes to that.
When you look at the position of Hollywood and DC on opposite sides of the land, it becomes critical to the understanding of what a political satire is.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us don't know that all they're doing in DC is political satire.
That's
right. That's why you see stuff like this.
Yep. This is the guy. Yep.
Yeah. So this is telling you about the satire, because if you look here, you see Elon Musk is dressed like what?
A bunny
a jester.
Yep.
He dressed like a magician, a jester, a court entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But then you see the molecular symbol for the bunny up there that comes from the adrenochrome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, the rabbit out the hat mean exposing the magic trick.
Facts. Babylonian blood magic.
Yep. So when they pull the rabbit out the hat, they saying this is the magic trick. So they're showing you the trick, the deception.
And the deception is in itself is connected to, the de facto corporation in itself, because all the corporations, as what I call the middleman, which is the devil, which is a form of instant gratification, they use it as a mechanism, like we talked about last year when we broke down the blood magic.
Mm-hmm.
So blood magic coincides with the rabbit. So when you follow the rabbit, you're going to follow the corporations that actually extracts the energy from, humanity, as far as like what we call the loosh, which is a form of human data. But that's the most intrinsic resource on the planet is human data. That's what the archons have to feed on. So that's why I was, I had this theory, you already know about the whole 1934 when they created Social Security and things of that nature, and they created the numbers and the community uniform security and stuff. When it comes to that, that's when, they turned us into humanoid real estate. So it was actually one of those things where the corporation in itself is being used as a catalyst to cause the reset by eliminating humanity, because in order to reset the debt, you have to eradicate, about 7.7 billion people. That coincides with the Georgia Guidestones when they said they want to maintain humanity at 500 million, even though, they got destroyed also.
Yeah, that was because their plan failed.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing that we got to do to show that they plan failed is get rid of the stones. You didn't win, so you can't say what we gonna do on Earth because you lost.
Facts. Yep.
Right. So another thing about that rabbit and that blood magic, right? Remember, the rabbit is the symbol for fertility.
Yep.
Tied to Ishtar.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The symbol for one of the symbols for Ishtar is she have a statue and she's covered in mammary glands all the way down to her ankles. Right. So that's the mother that feeds the nations.
Okay.
It's representation of a sacerdotal seat. The irony of it is you brought up 67. That's Empress Redbird's birth year.
Oh wow, and she got the allodial title to the land, right?
Right, but that's their surrender. The loyal title don't mean nothing to us. It means something to them.
Right, because we don't paper.
Right. So in order for them to acknowledge her blood right, they got to give her the paperwork. They letting them know that we know who you is. Let us finish cleaning this up, and we gonna make sure everybody else know who you is too. But we first have to give you this recognition so you will know that your work was being done.
So what does that kind of fall in line with the whole 1776 thing? Because they came out with the last circulation of the penny that also coincides with Philadelphia, because that's where they stopped it at after 232 years, which is a anagram for 322, which is the with that skull and bones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So one of the things about 1776, that's the Boston Massacre. Right. That's when they harvested the blood of Crispus Attucks. When they got to do their conjure work on it in order to turn it into ink. When they turn it into the ink, it becomes self-actualizing. They call it the first blood of the righteous in a conflict. They always have to let you know who the first blood of the righteous, or the person that was the rightful heir whose blood was used for the conjure, has to be always kept in the forefront. So they gave us this fanciful story about some half African that who set it off in the American Revolution with the Boston Massacre. And if you really think about it, this is why the Boston wear red socks, because they was walking through the massacre, the blood of the massacre.
Wow. And so is that part of the Red Shoe Club and the Pilgrim Society?
So the Red Shoe Club comes from Europe, from Spain.
Okay.
And the shoes that was originally being made, that was dyed red, was made out of human skin. And that's what made the leather for the red shoe so valuable. The red bottom shoe is a different shoe. It represents people who walked across the bloody floor.
Wow, okay.
Right? So they walk across the bloody floor, they leave a red footprint, which is a bloody footprint. Only it's not a footprint, it's a handprint. And it's only one place to find it. On the indigenous rebellion, where they put the red paint across their mouth because of the colonizers that was stealing the women in order to impregnate them to infiltrate bloodlines. So that's what you see when you see those girls, those native girls, right, with the red hand on their face. That's what they talking about. They're talking about the kidnapping of the native women. Those women were brought over here as Huns, but when they got over here and was re-educated, they became Native Americans.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that kind of reminds me of that volleyball symbol when you're talking about what took place with the little people in DC. And they had one of the symbols was of it looks like a hand. Looked like a hand that was covered in blood, and they put it over a soccer ball or a volleyball. And I think it was
a Farther drip.
Yeah.
That's a Farther drip. That comes from Tom Hanks in Lost, I think was the name of the movie.
Yep.
Right, and you see Ellen DeGeneres wearing it on her hoodie, and some people wearing it dressed as that in like award shows, dressed up like Frazzle Drip.
Yeah, they do all that. It's like transgressive. It's like high end fashion, but they use like biological fluids and biological parts of things.
It's actually called horror fashion.
Right.
If you look up horror fashion, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a whole genre. But in this case, their secret society is telling on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Without telling the general public that they telling on somebody, they just start, the imagery pops up.
That's a fact.
We got to be savvy enough to say, what is these people telling us with this frazzle drip handprint, bloody handprint? So most people don't know what frazzle drip is. They don't know about the pedestal files and the insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They only concerned about this dude right here. He was a Mossad CIA asset.
That's a fact.
He replaced somebody who passed away from old age. The only reason why we know that is because when they went through the videos on Epstein Island, they go all the way back to the 30s on the island. So who was in Hollywood in the 30s that you can go back and you can track it? All the ones that didn't want to play ball end up getting blackballed out of the industry.
That's a fact. And you know another thing that's crazy about this? 2 videos ago, and this is just based on my independent research and my own, conspiracy theories or whatever. Just like I tell people all the time, in order to beat the Matrix, you got to go within the Matrix in order to get out. That's when you go down the rabbit hole. But the rabbit hole in itself is also being embedded inside of the simulation so much to the point where you're able to extract the information. So what I'm saying is that, within the video game, I said 2 videos ago, I said that there's going to be a link and there's going to be an emulation of what took place on Epstein Island, and they're putting it inside the video game of Grand Theft Auto. And there's going to be a mission in the game where it's going to show you the true link, and it's going to show you the actual list of what took place. And it's supposed to be some hackers that's putting the link inside this video game that's supposed to be coming out in November 19th of 2026. But they pushed it back the day after I said that they're going to put the link in the game, and they pushed it back from the spring of 2026 to the November, literally the next day. So it's kind of because you play video games, Rod?
No.
Now this is important because in the last Grand Theft Auto, they show you the Statue of, I think it's Grand Theft Auto 4 or 5. The Statue of Liberty is actually Hillary Clinton. And then when you go inside, it shows like the heart beating or whatever, which is also a representation of the corporate infrastructure that placated on humanity, based in blood magic and things of that nature. So it shows you that. So it seems like there's a mockery that's taking place within the political apparatus when you're talking about the new republic that's coming from the Trump administration. It seems like they're working with, a lot of these video game videographers, and they put a lot of the information inside there. So I've been looking into some of that stuff because there's a mission in the game that actually it shows you the emulation of Epstein Island.
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff they put it in various different places.
Mm-hmm.
By me not being a gamer, I won't see a lot of what they put in the games.
Right.
But I used to watch a lot of movies growing up, so a lot of the stuff I see now was in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You brought up the year 1984. You remember where you brought it up?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up for you right now, Rod. I got you. Where is it at? Did I put it in here? I thought I did. I can bring it up, but I know that it's actually talking about a totalitarian order in that movie.
Okay, so the year 1984 is what you were talking about earlier in the show.
Yeah.
Okay, now the year 1984 also is where George Orwell's book was designated as 1984.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then George Orwell's book, his teacher was Aldous Huxley,
mm-hmm.
who wrote A Brave New World. Right? And one of his socialites, Aldous Huxley's socialites, who also was good friends later on with George Orwell, name was Ayn Rand, and she wrote the Atlas Shrugged.
Mm.
Right? Now, There's also 1984, which is Rex 84, Readiness Exercise
Okay.
1984. So it's all connecting to a time frame,
Yep.
right? So when you go back and look what was going on in 84, Reaganomics.
Yep.
Reaganomics was going on in 84 and Project Hope, where they created Focus Hope to give government stored food to the public that was having food problems.
Mm-hmm.
Ronald Reagan took office. He said that he had no idea of the level of hungry people it was in America when they got all this food that they had in storage to feed the American people.
Mm.
They took a percentage of it out because it's primarily for the military use, but it's an excessive surplus enough to feed the American public for up to a year before it starts to run low. It's 300 and something million people, almost 400 million people in America. So they got enough food in reserves, canned and stored, air sealed and packed tight, waiting for distribution. Whose job is it going to be when the grocery stores close down to distribute the food rations to the public?
Shit, it should be the church. Shit.
Church is going to be gone.
I know, but shit, they're supposed to be a storehouse.
So in the time of crisis, it activates a joint committee of National Guard, FEMA, and several other government agencies to mobilize the National Guard's troops to set up warehouses to distribute the food to the people of the certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why you got Michigan National Guard. People in Detroit don't know it, but they sitting right there waiting to be deployed. They already here.
Mm.
Chicago know they there. They've been filming them coming in. Memphis know they there. DC know they there. Philly know they there. Right? LA know they there. San Diego know they there. San Francisco know they there. Right? So most of the people is unaware that if they can maintain their cool in this crisis that they finna manufacture, we not supposed to give it no thought. Let the government shut down. Fuck the government. That's how we gotta see it.
Mm-hmm.
Close it down. Shut it down. Let's see what you gonna do next. Because if we don't put a challenge to them to produce, they gonna keep on running games on us. Cyclic games.
Mm-hmm.
They run them in a loop.
Yep. And I'm glad you brought up the loop because that coincides with my 589 research when you're talking about the bearable God, because it represents the transmutation process of deviate from the corporate legal fiction by going back into natural law, which is common law for the people. So that's why I was saying, by way of the law of reciprocity, everything has to come full circle, which is 360 degrees of the closing of the age that was connected to the maritime law. So that's why I said we're in a time of rebuilding right now, because everything within their infrastructure has to collapse, whether if it's a synthetic reset or if it's something that's, being extracted from the cosmos and Mother Nature. So,
right.
And I showed you some of this right here the other day. I think it was the top one, because the bearable God is supposed to be playing Donald Trump. So it's really just showing you, it's really just kind of like based on the timeline. It's showing you the.
Is that supposed to be a bear?
Yep, it's a bear. Yep, it's the bearable God.
That's the symbol for Cali too.
Oh, for California. Yeah,
California symbol is a bear, and it's on the tip of his nose is a 5-point star.
Wow. I'm just now peeping game off that. See, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, if you go pull the California flag up and see it, it's right there on the flag.
Let me see if I can pull it up. Cause my computer, I need to get me a different computer. My shit's slow. Hold on, let me see.
Now, while you pulling it up, most of us don't know that's what you call an open public contract between 5 tribes.
Okay.
The symbol that they all have in common is the bear totem. We used to call them the bear clans.
Facts.
Then they gave us something called Bornstein bears. 3 little bears. All it is to keep the bear totem active in the mind of the people so that the bear clan can reclaim their birthright.
Man, I'm glad you brought that up because check this out, right? Because I got this in here too. Because I know Russia, they just been found. Where is it at? Yeah, here we go. Russia is also they represent the bear as well when you get into like the metaphysics of the Bible or whatever. But it talks about the Russian military spy ship, like so that coincides with the movie Red Dawn. Like, remember we broke that shit down too.
Yeah, but see, you gotta know where this Russian ship at. Remember the Russian ship that went to Cuba about 2 years ago? They was dropping off prisoners to Gitmo. Everybody keep thinking that this is only America that's cleaning up the land. It's going on all over the world.
That's a fact. Is this it right here, Rod?
It's the yeah, that's the bear.
Okay.
Now, if you look up, you see the 5-point star.
Yeah.
Because of the 5 tribes. Now, the reason why they use the 5-point star, the point being each tribe is they all matriarchal tribes.
Mm-hmm.
The bear is the chief being instructed by the women, the 5 matriarchal tribes. They got chiefs. Each tribe got a chief, and then they get together. The one who qualified to lead whatever they doing as a collective is the chief that takes the lead. Right. And that's why you see guys walking on the green grass. Cali is desert.
That's a fact. Yep. People ain't gonna catch you.
That's because they represent law land, land law, not admiralty law. The only reason why they came up with a flag is because some people came from Europe with the law of the flag. So we went from totem poles and wampum belts to flying flags too.
I'm trying to get back to the bear. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, it shows you within the art. I keep telling people, man, like the algorithm is telling you every time. They tell you in every movie. They tell you in every magazine, like what time it is, and motherfuckers just think it's entertainment. And I know you've seen or heard about this.
Yeah. This is most likely one of those land masses that's emerging from under the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even when I get into my own independent research in itself, and it's actually connected to the ancient, energy grid system, which is what we call the tectonic cycle. So you're going to get a lot of, sedimentary rock formation. And then they were saying that, the people that live within that geographical area of Zealandia, it was the Melanesian people, and it was also the people that was connected to Lemuria, which is also connected to the Lost Continent of Mu. I got that book, Lost Continent of Mu. So it actually talks about New Zealand within that publication. It doesn't talk about it in the article too much, but it also talks about New Zealand and how they were.
So pull up a map of the South Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
You're going to notice that at one time it was a land bridge from the South Pacific to Hawaii.
All right, South Pacific Ocean. Everybody put them rice bowls in the chat in them apes in there. All right. Can you hear me, Rod?
Yeah.
Okay, I was making sure you can.
I was checking out the comments.
Okay. Hey, while you breaking that down, what's your cash app so I can pin it up in there? In here.
It's $SIKAPE.
Okay. All right.
Somebody sent me something and they said, this ain't good because it's a 01. 01 is my PayPal. My PayPal is Rod Hayes at PayPal SickApe01. But my Cash App is just Sick8.
Okay. Okay. And PayPal is Rod. What is it?
Rod Hayes at SickApe01. Or you would just PayPal at SickApe01. It's going to pop up either way.
All right. All right. So everybody bless the elder, man, because he be dropping some knowledge, some stuff that we've never heard before. But all right, here we go.
All right, let's zoom in on this map on the left side where you see Australia.
You said zoom in.
Yeah.
It only let me go so far. It ain't let me.
Okay, if you look right there, you see Indonesia.
Right.
All right, now Hawaii is on there, but you can't see it. It's to the left of Indonesia. I mean, to the right of Indonesia in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if you look where these islands, if you pay attention, the islands have a pattern. That was a land bridge.
Mm.
It was a land bridge, and then it left it used to lead all the way up into the Southern Asia, Southeast Asia, right? Around by Japan and Korea and all that stuff. Now, if you go to the ocean picture, giant city under the ocean of Japan, it'll show you a city with giant steps. Because that was one of the casualties in the wars, in the Anunnaki wars.
Mm. Mm.
They sunk this city. There was one of Inky's major cities for the Anunnaki, especially the ones that was huge.
Mm. You know what that sounds like? You ever watched the movie Ewok Adventures? It came out in the 1970s, like 79, 78.
If I came out back then, I probably watched it, but I just probably haven't seen it in so long.
Yeah, it shows you how they had the big steps like you was talking about, and they had these big Nephilim beasts, and they had the indigenous tribes, and they had little bears, they had the little Ewoks, but if you really look at the garments of the Ewoks, they were wearing indigenous attire. They had the feathers and everything, but they was using a lot of the trees that went up into it that basically pierced the firmament. They used the trees as a mechanism to, to take down those big giants like you were talking about in those wooded areas. So there's a lot of truth to that when it comes to the ontological artifacts.
Yeah, and they say that when this was the land bridge, that's when the people moved to Australia.
See, is that kind of with the Tasmanian people?
Because Tasmania right next to Australia. And
they and the Tasmanian devil, and you know what's crazy, because the Tasmanian devil, he looks like an Ewok. That's how the Ewoks actually look.
But the Ewoks was the Wannies.
Yeah. Well, you're right.
And when they made it with the Twa, they lost their hair and became leprechauns and gnomes.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Look, you remember all of those people that Malachi showed us? The Flugerods, the Deros, the Tyros.
Uh-huh.
They was all given a drop of blood to clean up the great debauchery. That's why they're here. They came here as royal families from Enlil-controlled systems to offer a drop of their blood to clean up the genetic defect, because it wasn't going to be done in time with just us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So now you see the ones that look like Chewbacca.
Yeah.
What they call Wookiees.
Yep.
When they made it with the humans, they still hairy. They just not as hairy as they was.
That's a fact. And a lot of them used to work with indigenous tribes. In fact, the Yaqui were the Yeti, or what they call Bigfoot. Bigfoot was actually working in tandem with indigenous people. They used to,
they still do. Bigfoot, you can't catch. The only reason why it's hard to catch Bigfoot is because they can hear you coming by your thoughts before they can hear you coming by your movement.
That's
Humans' minds are loud to psychically sensitive beings that talk in telepathy. We won't shut the F up and they can't stand it. But most people let their mind just do stuff and they call it thinking, but it's not thinking. The mind is untamed. It's Sakuma, monkey mind. Right? And that's what the whole story of the Sun Wukong in Hanuman's journey to the west and Sun Wukong, the 10 Buddhist scrolls. It's the same story.
That's a fact.
It's teaching the person how to tame the monkey mind. When you find somebody who has tamed it, they will label him with a Naga's label. Once he's labeled with a Naga's label, your monkey man can't stop watching for the wisdom. They're using the primitive, native, natural instincts of a monkey. And a monkey can be riding on the elephant back and know where the snake is in the grass when the snake moves off the dirt road or the dirt path. The monkey can still sense where the snake is at because it's his biggest predator. So they don't have to physically see the monkey. I mean the snake. The monkey know where the snake is after he's seen him the first time. That's why they got a specific call that the monkey put out, and they call it the serpent call. They alert the other monkeys that it's a serpent in the area. It's a very distinct call. All monkey species have it, except humans. Unless we just forgot how to listen for it. Right? Because we all know somebody, when somebody comes along and they'll tell you, don't trust so-and-so, he's a snake.
Facts.
Here, we don't trust him, and now we gonna watch him.
That's a fact.
Because we need to determine if he's a snake. What if the person that told you was the real snake and they lied on somebody? Only observation could distinguish the two in the human form. We got the traits. We mammalian, reptilian hybrids. So we can play both sides from the middle. As long as we don't take sides, we can see both sides.
That's a fact. And have you seen that new movie, Predator Badlands, yet?
No, I haven't seen no new movies in a while. The last new movie I seen was Sinners, and I just seen that recently.
Oh yeah, I forgot you told me that. Well, in the movie, you know, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get the gist of it. In the movie, it really shows you, you know, the emulation of the Inky, Anu, and Enlil story. And they had Thor and they had Dek and Quay. And Dek, he was banished to a prison planet called Planet Jenna. And Jenna, when you get into ancient Hebrew, is the Valley of Hinnom, which is the realm of purification and judgment. So he was banished to a parasitical planet to look for the callus. But the callus in itself was basically the embodiment of dark matter energy. It was a corporeal intelligence that wasn't able to be manipulated unless it was in a cryogenic state. And within the movie, they show Ashtar Command, the Pleiadians, they show the Pleiadian light lock on how they use cryogenic technology to lock down the catalyst. So that's another way to, they're basically telling us that they're using technology. All right, let me see. Where is she at? All right, here we go.
Okay, you see that top one on the left, the top one on the left.
Yeah, the Earth magnetic field.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's the Van Allen belt. You see, if you look at it, you see that there's three major circles. Right? Then you have circles in circles coming from the center of the Earth. Concentric circles to the center. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay, now, pause that thought. The one right under it shows the torsion field that's being used to project these 3 points of convergence in the first one. Because it has to be done inside a torsion field. Right? Now, when you go to the bottom one where it looked like two cells separating, that's what it looked like before you put it around the orb in the middle.
Okay.
When you put it around the orb in the middle, the light is going to flip it to the side. Those two circles are going to come out from the center, just like the top. Right? That's the infinity loop.
Wow.
To trap you in a time space continuum. You relying on time because of this layout. Okay, now the Earth has a natural positive and negative pole, or they call it North and South Pole. You need both poles to project their own individual. What's the word for that magnetic field called? It's a certain name for it. But once it's generated, now by feeding it the light from the sun, the radiation from the sun is now self-sustaining. Right? Now, the Earth and the sun is naturally they gonna follow the laws of nature. At some point, the physical Earth went into a hibernation. Right? It goes into a hibernation to reset. We call this hibernation period the Ice Age, which was a nuclear winter. This Ice Age, then Earth emerges and sends a distress signal to the solar orb at the center in the form of a Schumann blast. The solar orb picks up the frequency, internalizes it, processes it, and sends the Earth back a response. You need to heat up from the inside. Now they calling it global warming.
How about that? Because we agree. Because that's what happens when you have the vibration of dynamo speeding up the plasma vortexes on the planet. So I'm glad you brought up that. The reason I brought this up because it shows you from a neurological standpoint of how this corresponds with our neurological faculties when you're talking about the movie Predator Badlands, because the monad in itself, when you look at Earth's magnetic field, you got this dial right here, but the monad in itself represents Najor, and the two hands represents Enki and Enlil. So that's what I was saying as far as like the movie, the callus was a representation of a form of quintessence that acted as a neuron fibers that brings both hemispheres of the brain together, which is Enki and Enlil. So that's what I was saying, like everything that corresponds like with consciousness has the ability to manipulate everything that's connected to the magnetic field of Earth, because the magnetic field of Earth is tethered connected to our consciousness to the point where you have solar flares spitting off at 90-degree angles from the galactic plane, which makes you an El or Elohim, because the El was nothing but in a 90-degree angle.
Okay, now I'm glad you was able to put it in them terms, because I've been telling people for the longest, stop reading Enki and Enlil as people. Start reading them as a frequency of energy.
Facts.
And people don't get it, but the reason why you read them as a frequency of energy instead of people, because the frequency will pop up in places you didn't expect it to, which shows their signature on our parts of our society. This is how I can tell you, all of these squared off cities has been they've been militarized zones, laid out according to military control measures. That's Enlil. The concentric circles, like those scalar waves coming off the Earth, forming that torsion field, that's Enki will operate in that circle, because the Enki energy is closer to the balance of nature from the masculine. Enlil's energy is the deviation from the laws of nature of the masculine. Right? So you got balanced masculine energy and erratic masculine energy, which is what we're looking at on the right. Right? Two people.
Yep. Same story. I keep telling people that it's the algorithm. They talking about DNA and neurological upgrades. That's why they had so much damn radiation, solar transmission that was coming to the planet, and everybody was getting headaches. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, pressure in itself makes diamonds. So those solar transmission that's hitting the mind, which is Noah, the ark, a flood of consciousness, is going to activate those apatites, those calcites, and those magnetites, and those dendrites. So, like I said, it's a part of the process, because it's one of those things where the year of 2026, which is the year of the fire horse, is going to be the precursor to the great separation between the lamb and the sheep. Well, I mean, the lamb and the goat. And the reason that is because it's a separation of consciousness, because the consciousness in itself, because, they even talk about in the CIA documents, the conscious energy grid. The conscious energy grid is going to manipulate, the electrical grid in itself.
Also, what we call in the 100 monkey effect, right? And then it's called, as we move into the new full swing of the new era, that's the event horizon. Going through the black hole, then you had a point of no return. You can't go back now. You're too far into this game. Right? Now remember, we caught between political satire and Hollywood theater. DC and Hollywood, political satire is fake. The political satire is a play called Plato's Republic, recycled over and over from different types of political applications, from communism to socialism, and none of them don't work. They're not designed to work longer than like 250 years. That's why you keep seeing every 250 years the world powers change.
Yeah, I'm going to show you something. I'm glad you brought that up. I got to bring the slides back up. I'm glad you brought that up, because it show. I've been seeing that number 250 a lot. I've been seeing that a lot, and I made some slides for that. All right. Hey, they said I don't look like you. My bad if I don't look like you. I tried my best.
It's close enough.
I try to do what I could.
That's how AI see me.
Okay. Yeah. All right, where's that 250 at? So they talk about it right here. It's got the birthday cake around it. Because, like I said, it tells a timeline. It's a story.
Well, the 1776 contract was a 200-year contract. But remember, 1812 gave them an extension to 2012. Right now, after 2012 is where the work starts to transition to the new government. So a couple things that they had to do that they did. They had to recognize that 400-year Bible contract. That's the white man's burden. What they call the law of discovery. The doctrine of discovery, the white man's burden. So they did the 400-year recognition in the Senate, the satire. Or Congress, whatever the hell, one of them, Washington, D.C., they passed a vote to recognize the 400-year captivity. Then they did a ceremony. Trump had the Bible upside down in front of a boarded up church. And Nancy Pelosi tore the Bible on the Senate floor. Tore it in half. Right? On the same day. Republicans and Democrats. So when they did that, that was the end of the Bible contract that was the sacrifice of the first blood of the righteous. Now, they also passed before they passed the UNDRIP on the United Nations floor, and then they passed the United States Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, which says pretty much the same thing in 2014, I think it was. Right? Then we had the ceremony to stake a totem pole in D.C. to reclaim the land from the Salvage Authority. The Salvage Authority was the Crown of England.
That's a fact.
Okay, now, once we did that, we reclaimed that 10 square miles as part of tribal territory. According to the Indigenous Rights Act of the United States and the United Nations, the indigenous people have a right to govern all indigenous land. Show me some that ain't.
Exactly.
So now they done recognized us, but it's only one way to secure recognition. oral tradition. Both documents talk about the oral tradition. And it's not a coincidence that the one is in the 13th chapter of the UNDRIP and the other one is in the 31st chapter of the UNDRIP. And then it's in something similar in the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People. Right? 13 is the Queen Mother Seal. 31 is the mirror flip. So on both sides.
Damn, I'm glad you brought that up because somebody in the chat, they said that July 4th of 2026 is 250 years. I didn't know. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So it was supposed to end, the contract was supposed to end it in 1976 at the bicentennial celebration. Because of the War 1812 and they got an extension. This is why in the Fall of America, Elijah Muhammad said the devil got an extension. Nobody know what he was talking about. How the hell did the devil get an extension? Because we took their ass back to war. They telling us that the War 1812 was something other than an indigenous uprising. That's not, it was exactly an indigenous uprising. We rose up and decided to take the land back and broke